Hey everyone, welcome to this weekly Sidereal Astrology forecast for the week of July 22nd through the 28th of 2024. Alright, so this week we are coming off of that full moon from last weekend, and so it is a great week for implementation, especially when we get to this weekend and enter the third quarter moon, which is very good for taking those actions and really manifesting a lot of things that we gleaned a new perspective on last weekend. So the aspects are a little quiet, on the quieter side. I mean, early in the week on Monday, we still have a lot of aspects coming off of Sunday. And I would say most noticeably on Monday will be the Sun opposite Pluto. So I think Monday is a good time to do a status check with the deeper world. Pluto is the ruler of the underworld, and so all of this can come up to the forefront, practicing things like non-attachment, personal empowerment, and being willing to dive deep with things and transform things is always great with any Pluto aspect, but oppositions tend to make these things, we tend to be quite aware of them and can make some important shifts and changes with that deeper part of our lives. Tuesday, Venus will go into Leo, and so we're adding to the more expressive Leo energy. Mercury's already been here, but now Venus adding to it can mean maybe some of that expressiveness in relationships, maybe some enjoyments. Venus is all about value and connectivity. Then on Thursday, the Sun sextiles Mars, and so there's just an opening here for some assertiveness this week. Pretty much all week long, this is a very slow-moving aspect since Mars moves quite slowly here. So anything that is about being assertive, being direct, being independent, taking action, being proactive, definitely an opening for that. It's nothing we're going to be forced into, probably not learning any major life lessons around it, but if we do want to utilize that energy, that is certainly available. And then lastly, on Friday, Chiron will go retrograde for his 6 months as usual, and so maybe things shifting with some of the healing dimensions of life, maybe even taking a little bit of a break with some of the healing stuff if it's been quite intense for you the past 6 months. All right, so let's go and take a look at all of this here in more detail when we return. Alrighty, so here is the sky for this week. We're going to look at this for each day of the week, starting first with Monday, July 22nd. And as you can see here, we are using the visible sky and the actual size of the constellations in the sky, which is very different from mainstream astrology. All mainstream astrology, even other forms of sidereal, use an even 30 degrees for all of the signs, but in the actual sky, you can see that there are different sizes. So we're taking that into account. It's essentially astronomical astrology, or looking at where everything actually is in the sky. And so the signs do change. And if you are new, definitely check out that link down below for more information. All right, so let's go ahead and do a little bit of a recap here, since we've had some sign changes recently. So coming into the week, we've got still the Sun in Cancer, okay, and this was all part of that full moon last Saturday. We had the full moon right on the cusp between Sagittarius and Capricorn, and so that was all about doing a status check with how we can be open-minded, expand our horizons, but also be disciplined and patient along the way. So thinking more long-term, inspirations, but also responsibilities. And so anything that has been about implementing that now is fantastic, and I think it will be a great week to implement any of that long-term view kind of stuff. But in order to do that stuff, we do need to be protecting for ourselves, caring for ourselves, and of course others as well. So Cancer is the balance point to that. With the Sun here, it's all about creating that safe and secure environment for ourselves and others. So anything that provides that, maybe spending time at home, maybe more emotionally, maybe reflecting on the past a little bit, a little more of that personal life. Really good to do that, as we do need to connect to the emotions, the feelings, and our roots in order to go and venture out and do more of that public or productive or life purpose type of stuff that Sagittarius and Capricorn is all about. So that's still definitely the case with this protective energy of Cancer. Now Venus will be shifting into Leo very early in the week, finishing Cancer. And so we're definitely going to be adding to the more expressive qualities this week. Now Mercury's already been here, so we've already been thinking and probably communicating in a way that's a little bit more in the sense of what we love, what we're proud of, and a little more of that creative mind and maybe even expressive communication. So that's already been going on, but we're certainly adding to that this week. And with Venus, it can be particularly in those interpersonal relationships starting to enjoy a little bit of self-expression, a little bit of fun, entertainment, playfulness, things of this nature. And that's just enjoying it in general. It can be just enjoying it ourselves. Venus is fundamentally really just about our values and what we can be connecting to in life. But of course, that can always externalize into relationships as well. So definitely that protective and expressive energy still in the mix this week. And Mars is still taking his time, of course, in Taurus. And so it's all about taking that one step at a time with the things that we do want to put action towards. Mars is what we want, what we desire, where we want to take action. And in Taurus, it's all about taking it nice and slow, cultivating that inner resourcefulness, inner strength, stability, groundedness, in order to cultivate those things we want and want to take action towards. So remembering to stop and smell the roses, remembering to take things a bit slow, remembering to connect with our self-worth, self-reliance, that inner and outer groundedness when it comes to our actions. And I think that can be still a great way of working with this week. All right, so coming into the week, we still have a lot of aspects coming off of Sunday. We had a lot of them. I really want to focus here on the Sun opposite Pluto, as that's the one that's still applying and going into Tuesday here, as you can see, sort of apexing late Monday, early Tuesday. So Sun opposite Pluto, this is the status check, the halfway point of the Sun-Pluto cycle. Pluto is that ruler of the underworld, and you could say the Sun is just our vital focus and life force in life. So it's a great time to do that status check with the underworld, so to speak. How is the deeper dimensions of our lives? How are our deeper values? What have we learned maybe the past 6 months in regards to non-attachment, being non-attached to the deeper world, being willing to embrace the deeper qualities of ourselves and of life? Because that's what I think Pluto fundamentally wants, is us to become more of our true self, more of our core selves, which fundamentally isn't afraid of anything and is willing to face fears and really do what's deeply meaningful to us. But in order to do that, we do have to be willing to see that deeper world, that deeper part of ourselves, be non-attached. Of course, this can sometimes mean a little bit of an ego death, because in order to become more of our holistic true selves, we do have to be willing to change, and the ego is, of course, just a tiny part of that. So being willing to expand who we are, but really connect more to who we are on a deeper level, what's our deeper values, what's really important to us. And so doing the status check on that stuff can help facilitate that, as well as that sense of non-attachment and that sense of willing to face fears and empower ourselves. So it could be a nice step in the right direction with this. We did already have Venus opposite Pluto and Mercury opposite Pluto. So there's already been this kind of energy these past weeks. But with the Sun being the fundamental vital life force, I think this will be a very empowering early part of the week, great for transformation and change, cultivating what we really want in life. But of course, again, stripping away some of that ego, facing some fears, practicing some of that personal empowerment can be a great way of working with this, and very constructive, and really setting the stage for the next 6 months in that context of empowerment and personal transformation. All right, so that's definitely, I think, the strongest energy both Monday and Tuesday, but let's just say what you felt on Sunday still bleeding into Monday here a little bit. Now, that's also the case for the moon. The moon will still be in Capricorn from that full moon on Monday. And so all day Monday here, we've got a bit of this more disciplined sort of energy. Capricorn's the part of the full moon that's more about the discipline, the patience, the perseverance when it comes to that long-term stuff. And so Monday, anything that's about that long-term view, responsibility, patience, discipline, perseverance is fantastic, and we'll probably continue to notice some themes around that. And then the moon does shift into Aquarius both Tuesday and Wednesday. That adds to a little bit more of that progressiveness. So Aquarius is all about the more visionary side of, let's say, the long-term view. How can we access more of our aspirations and do things that really speak to where we want to contribute to something usually greater than ourselves? It can sometimes be a bit social, sometimes a good time to connect with community, neighbors, friends, things of this nature, as we tend to be a bit wanting to be a part of something greater. But even just in our own personal lives, our own future aspirations, for example, can be great. And utilizing a bit of that innovative mind, innovation, forward thinking, visionary energy can be fantastic. And maybe just getting outside the norm, thinking outside the box, challenging the status quo a little bit in order to make that happen can be great, again, both Tuesday and Wednesday. All right, once we start to get into the Thursday time period, we will start to be quite close to the sun sextiling Mars. Now, again, we'll be feeling this all week. As you can see here, we'll be within 1 degree all week long. But we'll definitely be really feeling it strong once we get to Thursday. And this is this harmony between, again, the sun, our vital life force, and Mars, that planet of action and assertiveness. So the opening is the sextile. It's nothing major. It's usually felt as a learning experience or something that we're maybe feeling a little bit aspired towards, a little bit of a door opening, so to speak. And we can choose to walk through that door or not. But I think it's always great to do so because these can be very supportive energies. Sometimes an opportunity, sometimes just things flowing a little bit when we do that. And so we can definitely utilize it. In this case, I would say great to listen to that Mars side, that proactive side. What's the side that maybe wants to take a bit of that initiative, wants to be a bit proactive? Maybe there's an opening that's going to require some of that assertiveness or initiative on your part. And by doing so, that can create some of these opportunities or some of this flow or supportive energy that we can experience if we do choose to act on it. So all in all, just a good harmony between what we could call the fire planets, the sun more of the vital spirit fire, the consciousness fire, in good harmony with the more proactive, assertive, initiating fire, which is Mars. And when we are in Thursday here, the moon will shift into Pisces for pretty much the rest of the week until Sunday. So Pisces is all about receptivity, connecting more with our soul, and making sure that we are connected to that flow of life, not swimming upstream, which would be where we're maybe forcing things or the ego is really strong. We have this set way of doing it, and we're not very flexible. We do want to be flexible with the moon in Pisces. We do want to be going with the flow a little bit, flowing with that current of life. And a couple fundamental ways of doing that is to connect with our soul, listen to our soul, and even have a bit of presence, a bit of living in the present moment, and receptivity about life just in general. So great to practice this stuff Thursday through Saturday. When we do get to Friday, Saturday, and even Sunday, we'll be in the third quarter moon. So particularly good to challenge ourselves with that receptive energy, because as you can see, this is very harmonious, but it starts to get very different from Cancer once we start to get into Aries. But with this more protective energy, we were talking about that it's a good time to create that safe and secure environment for ourselves and others. In order to do that, the lunar cycle is suggesting that it's very important to be receptive at this moment and creating a little bit of space in our life, a little bit of maybe compassion for ourselves and others, taking a little bit of a step back, practicing again a bit of that receptivity. And I would say the weekend is a great time to do so. Now, once we get to Sunday, the energies are very different between these two. Of course, Cancer's the water protective side, and Aries is the more fiery side. So on Sunday, great to, again, be proactive. I think it's a great week for that. And Sunday can really speak to this with the moon in Aries, Mars's sign. And so Sunday, a good time for that proactivity, initiative, and assertiveness that we talked about especially. But here, again, remembering to practice that self-care and nurturance, connect with our feelings. And if we are, if this is involving interpersonal stuff where we're having to be direct, we're having to be, quite proactive in relationships and such, remembering also that self-care and nurturance for others. So good weekend all in all to challenge ourselves, and I would say fundamentally in the context of last week's full moon. So on last Saturday, we had that full moon, that status check, and it's just a great week to implement it all week long, but especially over this weekend where we can really start to challenge ourselves to do it. It's usually where we start to notice a lot more of the action phase of the cycle and start to notice a lot of things manifesting there. All right, so that's the week in a nutshell. I will mention that just as a backdrop to what we'll call Friday, we usually need a little bit of time to feel this, but and sometimes we don't feel it at all because Chiron is a very unseen force, very difficult to see in the sky. But here he's going retrograde. So on Friday, the next 6 months starts to take a little bit of a step back and creating a little bit of more of an internal process when it comes to healing. So when Chiron's been direct the past 6 months, depending on how prominent Chiron is in your chart, if he's very prominent right now, like on your ascendant or over your sun or something prominent in transit, then it will be felt much more strongly for you. And you've probably noticed that the past 6 months, maybe there has been a strong theme around healing and having to maybe dive deep within yourself, maybe do some shadow work, or maybe it's physical healing as well. So if that describes you, if the past 6 months has been that way for you, then you do get probably a little bit of a pause, a little bit of a break for the next 6 months. And it's good to start to reflect and maybe even redo some of these things for the next 6 months. But I would say in general for everyone, it's good to kind of pause with maybe healing matters this weekend, see what's been working, what hasn't been working the past 6 months, and start to maybe reflect and redo and maybe internalize a little bit anything in your life that has to do with mental, emotional, spiritual, or physical healing. Or health in any way. And the station period here on Friday can maybe help give us a different perspective, can help things shift a little bit, and again start a period that's necessary of reworking, rethinking, and internalizing the energy a little bit. All right, everyone, so that's the week in a nutshell. Most important, I would say, is again applying the full moon energy from last Saturday, those shifts of awareness, those things we sort of set out to do for this remainder of the lunar cycle since around Saturday, we can really be implementing this week. And that's especially the case over the weekend, practicing both some of that compassion, that receptivity, that flow of life in that process, but also a bit of that initiative and assertiveness on Monday as well. The aspects are a bit quiet, but early in the week, Monday and Tuesday, maybe cultivating some of that deeper energy, being aware of what's really deeply important to us, and practicing things like self-empowerment and personal transformation can help facilitate that. The sun is sextiling Mars, which gives a little bit of an opening this week available of some of that assertiveness, action, and proactivity that can certainly be available. And again, Venus shifting into Leo early in the week just adds to more of that expressive energy. So I would say, of course, it's a great week for enjoying some of that self-expression, creativity, playfulness, anything that's close to our hearts or connecting to anyone that's close to our hearts as well. All right, so everyone have a fantastic week. Thank you so much for watching. Be sure to click the like button if you're watching this on YouTube. And if you haven't yet gotten your True Sidereal report, there's a link down below for that. You can sign up. It's absolutely free. Actually, you don't even sign up at all. You just type in your birth details and you'll see your free report. And of course, there's the paid report if you'd like the full one as well. But again, have a great week, everyone. And I'll see you all next time for the next astrology forecast. Take care.